Hello everyone. Um, Hope you enjoyed your tea break. I did. My name is Atieno, and I'll be representing the API platform team from the foundation. So what we are going, so this we have different team members who've contributed to this presentation. So they have recorded videos. So we'll be watching one from Virginia on a timeline view of the API platform. Then we will be watching one from Bill, where he demos how to extend the API into your extension. And then I will take us through some community resources that could be of value to us. Brief overview of the API platform. So basically what we aim to do is empower API producers and consumers to discover, leverage, and expose access to knowledge as a service. Our value proposition for API producers is autonomy and agility for creating and managing consistent APIs. Value for API consumers: discover, leverage APIs to share and grow free knowledge. And value for the foundation is to provide an easy way for the world to join the movement. So now we will hear from Virginia, who will take us through a timeline view of the platform. Can let me know if the sound is okay. Yes. Oh.
My name is Virginia Poundstone, and I work for the Wikimedia Foundation. I'm new here. I just started this past August. I'm the product manager for the API platform, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. And I live in Brooklyn, New York, on the eastern coast of the United States of America. So this is a brief introduction to the API platform's relationship to MediaWiki and our shared context over time. And it will be less than 5 minutes. First, there was MediaWiki. And as most of you know, at Semantic MediaWiki Con, in 2002, the wiki software was developed to meet the requirements of the nascent cooperative website, Wikipedia. So as Wikipedia grew, it needed to be able to handle the traffic and the amount of edits. So at the same time, while technical contributors were working hard to solve these complex problems, this is what our cell phones looked like. And cell phones were not as ubiquitous as they are now. Not everyone had one, and not everyone used one. We were also at the tail end of the browser wars during this time period. So Google was leading, but they weren't the only game in town. And most people also still bought music on CDs and vinyl. They didn't yet really use MP3 technology. My other favorite fun fact about this time period when MediaWiki was just getting started is that software still shipped in actual boxes for the most part. So if we look at the timeline from when the first edit was made on Wikipedia in 2001 to the present, we can see a lot of changes in technological development as well as socio-technical development that bring us to our present moment. And it's important to think about them as in the context of why and what is an API platform and how does it interact with MediaWiki into the future. So back in 2001, when that first edit was made, it was the same year that the Creative Commons licenses first launched, where giving free access or sort of identifying creative materials online that people wanted other people to reuse. It's also during this time period when we were accessing the internet on our desktop computers and laptops. We all know this, but it's a nice reminder that that's the technology that we were using to access this information and contribute to the projects. And it's also when cities around the world began to plan for and start building infrastructure that could support Wi-Fi technology. So Wi-Fi technology was not readily available during this time period. So there we have, in 2003, MediaWiki gets its fantastic first logo, and its name is official. And then a year after MediaWiki is in a mature state, is the same year that Facebook launched and Flickr launched. It's also the same year that Wikimedia Commons launched in order to meet the movement's need for media files. A year after that, it was YouTube, and then a year after that, it was Twitter, and then 4 years after MediaWiki was made, the first iPhone came out. And then a year after that, it was Android, and then at the end of the decade, it was the iPad. And you can see there the Wikipedia logo that is still the logo used today. So then we entered the second decade, and it was a period of exponential growth. So much growth that I just bundled it there into a few little icons. It was the rise of 3G and then 4G technology. The cloud came on, so that affected how we were able to access and make sense of data at a scale that was unimaginable back the decade prior. It's also when we got our appliances started being internet connected, and our watches and our machines, our cars, and Bluetooth became the norm for connecting devices to one another. During this time, a couple new projects, a couple new Wikimedia projects came on in order to help meet some of these needs. That was Wikidata, linked open data, and then Wiki Functions, which is a newer project that's also in its nascent and very exciting form. And then I have the API platform here at the end. We've been slowly forming since 2020 and really looking at the landscape and figuring out what is our place in this and how do we support not only MediaWiki into the future, but the Wikimedia movement into the future. And so the API platform helps the movement grow. That is our core remit. And our goal is to make it easier to develop, access, and maintain open knowledge products and projects via a strategic API framework. As we build the strategic API framework, my fantastic colleagues, Bill Perkle, who is our technical lead, is going to talk to you a little bit about our work on MediaWiki REST API, and Atieno may tease out a few of our other projects that we have that we have brewing. But this is an invitation to connect with us and collaborate with us. Please reach out and let us know if you have ideas about ways that the API platform can support you in your work. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, Virginia. So Virginia is in the chat. So in case you have any questions specifically to her, you can find her there. So next, we'll have Bill.
Hi, welcome to my brief talk.
Yes, we'll have Bill take us through a demo. This should be a video. It's supposed to be a video. Can we? Yes. Yes. Can you click on it? Can you click on it?
I've also got, let's
Yes.
play
Yes.
that one.
Yes. So we are a few steps ahead of Murphy's Law, so we opened it elsewhere.
Hello, and welcome to this short presentation on the MediaWiki REST API. My name is Bill Perkle. I've been at Wikimedia Foundation for a little over 4 years. I'm currently the tech lead of the API platform. I'm located in Texas, in the United States, near the city of Dallas. So what is this little video presentation about? It's a quick intro to the MediaWiki REST API, and I'll briefly cover how to extend this in your own extension if you wish to. And it's really short, it's about 5 minutes, so I won't take up much of your time. All right, so the MediaWiki REST API has previously been known as the core REST API. In fact, I called it that in a presentation at SMWCon fall 2021. But it's known these days as the MediaWiki REST API. It's built into MediaWiki core. It overlaps in some respects with the Action API, but it offers at this time far less functionality. It does not replace the Action API, and we don't really have any intentions of doing that. But it does present things in a REST format. It's still somewhat immature in some respects from an infrastructure perspective, but we're slowly filling in the gaps. And as you would expect, there is a page on MediaWiki.org with various documentation about it. All right, so how does it work? It has its own entry point at the top level, rest.php, just like Action API has its own entry point, or the web interface has its own entry point. This is essentially the full contents of the rest.php file, so it's an entry point and defines. Looking a little more, it lives within the includes REST directory within the MediaWiki core source code. So you may be familiar with Action API living under includes API, but the MediaWiki REST API lives under includes REST. And there's a fair amount of files underneath there. But probably what's of most interest to you, if you're interested in extending it, is the handler classes. So under includes REST handler, there are a number of handler classes. Some of these provide functionality for the endpoints that we've implemented thus far. Some of them are intended to be used as basic classes, and you can use those in your own handlers. So how would you add your own endpoint to this in a extension if you chose to? Pretty straightforward. In your extension.json, you add your route, and then you implement your handler class along with whatever supporting code you may need. So in extension.json, and obviously this is very much pared down to just show the relevant portion, but you would have a REST routes section where you define your path, the handler class, and any services that your handler may require, and the method. And there are a number of other things that could appear here depending on your particular situation. But because this is a short video, I won't go into all that. You'll notice that I pulled this example out of the OAuth extension. And this particular handler is for listing OAuth clients. So if we look at the handler implementation, this is in a file called listclients.php, which I've also pared down extensively, pulling out error handling comments just to make it shorter for this video. But you can see we have a constructor that received the service that we said we wanted. So it's passed our handler, which is quite convenient. And we have a run function that we're overriding from the base class. And we do a few things to set stuff up. We call a function, in this case, get DB results that we implemented elsewhere in this handler class that returns our data. And then we create a JSON response and return it. So that's essentially the overview. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a great conference.
Thank you, Bill. So Bill is also in the chat, so you can engage with him in case you have any questions for him. So back to the presentation. How do I share the full screen? Okay. All right. So I'm going to highlight some open source resources that we have that could be of use to you. Specifically two, and then give some examples of what can be built with those API endpoints. So first up, we have an API portal that sits at api.wikimedia.org. It's basically a central hub for API-related documentation, and it's focused on the community. So the tagline for that is open access to multilingual information from Wikipedia and other Wikimedia systems. So what can you get from the portal? You can get Wikipedia articles, you can get featured content, you can get media files. So that is what is currently documented there. So we'll definitely be updating it as we add more available resources. So for the Wikipedia articles, you have access to articles in over 300 languages. So this is a sample request, what a request would look like. So we have the base URL, which is api.wikimedia.org, core version 1. You have to specify, for the articles, you will have to specify the language code. So EN is for English. Dutch, and so each language has a language code. I believe we have a table of codes somewhere. But this is a sample request that you can make to get Wikipedia articles. And this, from this request, this is a sample response. So I limited the request to 2, so that the response is screenshotable in one shot. So this is what the response will look like. So you'll get the pages, and then it will list out page ID, the key. So this was a search, actually. The query parameters are articles that have the word Earth in the title. Yes. And then we get a response of according to the limits that we have set. From the API portal, we can get featured content. So different Wikipedias usually have on their homepage the featured content of the day. So you can actually query this from the API for whichever day you would specify. So a sample request would look like this. Again, notice the language code that you have to specify in the URL. And then slash featured, then slash year, slash month, slash day. So you can actually paste this. You don't have to call it from a terminal or anything. You can actually paste it on the browser and it will give you the same response. So the response for featured content looks like that. So that's the featured content for October 26th for English Wikipedia. So TFA stands for the featured article. And that is it. We have the type, we have the title, we have the display title, different fields. This was actually a very, no, it wasn't a very big response. It just didn't fit in the shot. The third thing you can get from the portal is media files. So we have a collection of over 60 million media files. That's audio, video, images that you can actually get from the portal. So that's called Wikimedia Commons. So from Commons, you can actually query Commons from the API. So that's the link for the Commons wiki page. Sample requests to Commons would be that. So that's /commons/file, then file name. And the response you would get from Commons looks like that. So we've gotten it by title, that's file title. So some metadata about media type, size, height, and then the URL to the image. So that URL actually gives you the exact image. The API just gives you additional context about that particular resource. Any questions on the API portal? Maybe you can post it on chat. Another community resource, something that could be of use to you, is a service we call AQS, which stands for Analytics Querying Service. So this is a family of APIs that sits under the /metrics endpoint. So basically, they just give metrics about different things. For example, we have metrics on page views, metrics on media requests, metrics on unique devices, editors, and wiki stats. So the AQS itself has almost like 27 API endpoints, but then they are divided into these main 5 services. So we have sample requests and responses from each of these services from the analytics. So for page views, a call you can make is also page views serves analytics data about article page views for Wikipedia and sister projects. So a sample query you can make, for example, is this getting the daily hits on the Netherlands page on English Wikipedia in August 2022. So basically, this goes to English Wikipedia. There's a page on Netherlands, and then it will return to you the hits for a particular date. Yeah, so it's page views / per article. Then this portion is the project, specific project that you're querying for. The response for this particular query is that. So for each month, for each day of the month, daily hits, yes. For each day of the month of August, we have the views that were gotten on that page, on that project, on that day. So that's page views. Then we have media requests, matrix, which serves analytical data about requested media on Wikipedia and sister projects. A sample request is image file requests by Dutch Wikipedia on August 1st. So Dutch Wikipedia, that's this project, which is specified on the URL. So if we make that request, this is the response, how the response will look like. So we have media type, which is image, the year, day, month, and then the files. Yes, the files that were requested on that day to that project. Yes. Unique devices matrix, which serves the number of unique devices that have visited Wikipedia and or sister projects over some period of time. A sample request. So this request will give you the unique devices that have accessed Dutch Wikipedia in 2022, broken up by months. So we're in August, so that was a response of 8 items. So we have project, which is Dutch Wikipedia in the response, access site, all sites, granularity monthly. So we have devices, offset, and underestimate. And if you check the devices is sum of the offset and underestimates. So I believe the underestimate are devices that have accessed it at least twice. And then the offset is those that have accessed it at least once. And then the devices is the total of the two. Then we have geo editors, which serves editors by country on Wikipedia projects. Sample requests. This request gets you the number of editors with 100 or more edits to Dutch Wikipedia in August, broken up by country. So the response will tell you that in, I believe NL is Netherlands. 200 editors. DE is which country? Oh, really? Okay. Doesn't have D. Okay, D is Germany. So yes, so we'll get the editors for that particular month. Then finally, Wikistats, which has a bit more complex queries and query parameters. So Wikistats is also metrics around edits, edited pages, editors, and newly registered users, a bit more advanced than geo editors, which is just editors by geography. So I saved a very complex query for last. So this is the edits that were made on a particular project for a particular year by bots, right? Not by humans. So that's basically that. And the response from that is this. So it gives you the project, the editor type, which is bots, page type is content, and monthly. So it will tell you the absolute byte difference. So that is the sum of the deletions and the additions, because an edit is either a deletion or an addition. So it gives you that that difference. So for AQS, some of the stuff that have been built using AQS. So we have stats.wikimedia.org. That. And on Friday during the hackathon, please consider consuming these APIs and building awesome stuff with them. Yeah, we'll have awesome prizes for most creative. Yes, so we have stats.wikimedia.org, which is a visualization of this data. So there's the default page goes to all projects, but then you can filter by different wikis. So we have page views by country. Unique devices is not available for all projects. You'll have to filter by wiki. Edit, so this is for everything. In the last 1 month, we've had 45 million edits to 64,000 new registered users, 25 million user edits, 75 billion media requests, 28 GB bytes difference, and absolute byte difference 39 GB. So from this, we can filter by Chinese Wikipedia. I want to believe a Chinese is Chinese. Is it? We don't know. Okay. Yeah. So we have stats.wikimedia.org. We also have a community dashboard that was built by Stats that can leverage AQS endpoints. So this was built by wikimedia.swiss. I had made some queries, galleries here, and so some very awesome charts and views, user contributions. Let's see if it will bring us something else. So we have this community that has built on top of our data, and this is these are dashboards that can be powered by our AQS endpoints. Questions? Again, please consider using our APIs for the Friday hackathon. Yeah.
I think you are. If we didn't talk too long already, well, I'm afraid you have to ask the questions
On the chat
directly to you.
Okay.
So and we have to move on to the
Okay.
next. So thank you.
Thank you.